My nightmare started when a friend and I decided to go on a long drive on our own and find a quiet place to put our gear and set up camp for a few days. We came across a sign which read, "No camping, beware, enter at your own risk." David and I decided that we were both going to ignore the warning sign, and so we drove directly into the car park and parked the car, gathering our things. "Eden Camp," the sign read. We had to walk the rest of the way because of the deep, muddy tracks. My car would never have made it up there. The darkness was almost upon us, so we had to speed up time, set up camp before nightfall, otherwise we'd both be sitting up in the pitch blackness. Our tents were up, and David managed to light a fire for us to get us through the cold, freezing night ahead of us. We both held mushrooms on sticks like we used to as a kid, and opened a few cans of beer and told each other stories around the fire. "I've got an awesome story to tell," said David, "and it's true." "Okay," I replied, "go ahead, let's hear it." David continued the story. Apparently, it happened right in this very camp. Eden Camp. It started with a family and some friends who decided to get together and go camping. They took plenty of food, liquids, medikits, everything. Anyway, they got here, set up the camp, and set a fire, just like us. After a while, just before the sun rose at its fullest, a police officer and his colleague found them all slaughtered. Their injuries were identical to each other. They had been torn apart and partially devoured. There were bits of flesh, guts, and lots of blood splattered everywhere, all over their camp. It was a gory mess. "Anyway," David said, "that's it, that's all I know." "Did they know what type of animal it was?" I replied. David replied, "To this day, no one knows. It's still a mystery, but people are still talking about it, even today." "God," I said, "that's sick." "I know," David replied, "but it's true." The police officer said, just as he left the scene with his colleague, that he heard a heavy guttural growls and footsteps from the dense forest, and that's on police report also. "What do you think could have done it?" I asked, with interest and yearning in my voice. "I don't know," he replied. "Maybe a pack of wolves, a gang of bears. I don't know." "What about you?" he asked. "Well," I said jokingly, "a Bigfoot, or maybe a friggin' dogman." "You might be right," he said, with a comical tone. He gave out a loud howl, and at that moment, someone or something answered him. At this moment, we were both freaked out a bit and decided it was getting late, and we both headed for our tents for a well-earned sleep. I was awoken suddenly by heavy footsteps outside my tent, and then a low growl, and a lot of sniffing about. Maybe it was a bear, or a mountain lion, perhaps. I had no idea. Besides, it was 2 a.m. in the morning. Anyway, I let it be, and quickly fell back into deep, comfortable sleep. I could hear David rummaging around the camp, mumbling and swearing under his breath. So I decided to go out and find out what was wrong. David was in a terrible state. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Did you see or hear that thing last night?" he asked. "You mean the growling and heavy footsteps and continuous sniffing around?" "Yes," he replied. "That's exactly what I mean." I needed to go and relieve myself, so I went out to the woods as deep as I could, so that the smell wouldn't consume the camp, and on my way back I heard footsteps and growling near the camp, so I ran back to see if you were okay, and what I saw, and you're not going to believe this." "Go ahead, tell me," I replied. "Well, I saw a dogman strafing around our camp on 2 legs. At first I thought someone was trying to steal our gear and things, but it wasn't. That flea spray we sprayed all over our tents last night must have knocked it off scent and off our track." Okay, calm down," I replied comfortably, trying to reassure him. "I got it. Let's find it before it finds us first." "And how are we going to do that?" David asked. "Kill it," I replied. "Kill it? Are you crazy? How do we go about doing that?" "We'll trap it, like an animal. Have you seen the size of this thing? It would kill both of us as easily as that, god damn it." "Okay then, what's your plan?" I asked. "We can try and lure it somehow, or at least try." "Okay," I replied. "Where do we start?" "Easy. We use ourselves as bait and lead him into the middle of that opening field over there, right?" "Uh-oh. David, I think it's here," I shouted gently. "It's definitely very close." David walked gently towards me, and I shouted, "Run! Run to the opening! I'm right behind you." We ran as fast as we could. The dogman gave chase as it got closer to David. These bright lights appeared in the sky, and they were moving in and out of each other, as if communicating. They were vibrant and bright like the sun. Then, out of the blue, the lights began to piece together, and then there was this wailing sound all around us. We couldn't hear each other. Our eyes were closed to try and block out the pain and bright light at that moment. A huge ship appeared, 200 feet above us. Then a beam came down from beneath it. The dogman creature was directly in the centre, and let out a ferocious roar, and then it was gone, as if it was never there. But we knew the craft took it. We started running back to camp to gather our gear, pack it all, and journey back down the trail, back to the car. But I had this feeling David and I were being watched. A deep guttural growl came from the thick of the trees, and heavy footsteps followed. "Run, David," I said, "run." We were almost near the car when these lights appeared once again. We jumped in the car. I could see it was another dogman, and those lights were hovering above it. Suddenly, the creature started chasing us. It caught up with us in seconds. We were going at least 60. Suddenly, the car was thickly blanketed in light coming from above us, and then nothing. We both woke up in the local hospital. David looked really bad. 2 broken legs and a broken arm, and bruised badly all over his body. I had a bang on the head. My body was covered in bruises, but one thing bothered me more so. I had a clawed mark on the inside of my shoulder. Shit, I thought. That's me done.